Well, hey everybody. Welcome to Virtual Thursday's Dire Literary Series, the final one of the year. And tonight my guest is from Duluth, Minnesota, Ryan Vine. And let me tell you a little bit about Ryan. And Ryan's got a bio which you can go to at ryanvine.com. And Ryan is the author of The Cave, which came out in October. To Keep Him Hidden from Salmon Poetry in 2018, and winner of the Northeastern Minnesota Book Award. There's a lot here. Just to summarize, his poems have been in American Poetry Review, Ploughshares, The Rumpus, all great places. Poetry Daily, Verse Daily, the Writers Almanac. He's been honors have been in the Greensboro Review's Robert Watson Poetry Prize. He has been selected by Poet Laureate Robert Pinsky for the Dorset Prize, in which Robert Pinsky's blurb appears on the cover of his book. And he's from Minnesota. He is currently a professor of English at the College of Scholastica in Duluth, Minnesota. So, welcome, Ryan, to our last Dire of the Year.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Timothy. I appreciate the invite, and I'm happy to be here. And just for clarification, I was a finalist for the Dorset Prize. I didn't get it, but he selected me as one of the finalists, and I used his blurb on my book. Yeah,
Well, that's still great. Great stuff.
yeah, it was a boost for sure. And now I feel like I should try a Boston accent since you're doing Minnesotan so horribly.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Just wait until I break into my Garrison Keeler accent.
Oh no, no! All I remember was like Mac and the Pac, the Advac. There was maybe a line of 4 or 5 words. But I will not. That's as much Boston accent as I got. But thank you for the invite.
All right, and you're gonna read a little something for us, huh?
Wait, am I muted or am I on now?
Oh no, you're on.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, thanks. I'm going to read from The Cave, which you said just came out in October. Um, I'll read some poems from this and then be happy to answer any questions. This is Tick Check. I try to catch each kid coming out of the shower. That way I don't feel like a prison guard ordering them to strip and spin. Arms above your head. Now grab your bits and lift. I once showed Leo and Eiley a photo of meth mouth to get a warning about toothbrushing through. I raised the tablet and they ran, screaming down the dark hall, the poor woman's face alight in my hand, a crumbly hole. What kind of father am I? I'm trying to be here in these long moments where nothing happens but window smudges soaked with sun. Then comes the wet oration, the curtain flung, Leo's towel tossed back like a royal mantle. And now I'm on the toilet, splitting Eileen's damp hair into rows down which I work to keep my attention and not float away again to become like an alien, high above a foreign world, afraid to find the life I'm looking for. One good thing about the virtual format is you're not going to catch the cold I have. It's the end of the semester, and every single time, I swear. Tisha Creek. It's hot, so I haul the kids and 2 of their friends, brothers, to our favorite swimming hole. There's an easy waterfall with a spot for my butt thousands of years of flow have worn smooth, where the cool water washes over my swollen knee, and a sheer rock face like a slide down which all 4 kids plunge again and again. At first, they're flying. They're birds hunting fish, they're clouds crashing into their own reflections. But play changes quickly, and already the Titanic is sinking, and fast. Look, one brother says, tentacles, a whirlpool, the other shouts, the kraken. So out come the harpoons, which they pitch into the water, screaming and tearing at the air as they go down. Soon they start at each other. pantomiming blood squirting from their necks, hearts exploding like bombs. My daughter yells, "Help! Help!" and practices floating, face down in the creek, in the shade and sun, where the boys above her laugh and die, laugh and die. Um, this poem is preschool. We're walking to the car, crunching snow across the yard, overburdened as usual with backpacks and books and lunches and bags. When my son says, "You would make a good grave." "What?" I say. "My gun could do that." "You don't have a gun," I remind him, as he climbs into his car seat and waits, smiling for the familiar zip and click of the belt. "Dad," he says, staring down the finger gun inches from my face, "you're my best friend." Across the street, the birch look thinner and whiter in snow. I turn off the news, but too late, and drive slowly so we can watch two crows tuck and shoot through the tangled branches, like the two he loves from his favorite storybook. Odin's black angels, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory sent out across the world each morning with the hope that they come back. Today, luckily, we unbuckle his seatbelt, and my son kisses my hand before we cross the street. Today we hang his coat on the hook by his name, and he runs through the open door and into the bright room of children playing without saying goodbye. This is the titular poem, The Cave. I've been obsessed with Plato's allegories since, I guess, college. I was in my early 20s. And it's been an obsession of mine and a kind of preoccupation. And I've been trying to write this poem for a long time, and I think I finally got it. Maybe. I don't know. One thing, the magnificent frigate bird is actually the name of the bird, right? It's not my adjective. The cave. Leo and Eiley hover above me, playing doctor. Apparently, I've been shot through the eyes by a man hunting deer. Your eyes are ruined, they say, and lay a pair of wool socks over my face, over the fact that I just got in late last night from a week's vacation, still a little drunk, skin pink with sun. In Plato's allegory, the ignorant ones kill the traveler for what he's seen, but here, on the kitchen floor, they feel for my pulse with a styrofoam stethoscope. Take a rusted tuning fork to my bad elbow. He's really sick, my daughter says and leans down to blow her syrupy breath into me. Agreed, says my son and taps a finger to my cheek. For a moment, they're silent as shadows, like magnificent frigate birds soar across the socks on my face, until, at last, around my wrists, they clamp the iron bonds and drag the chains jingling through the dirt. Like a pang of a sweet, too sweet, the sound of their spike driven deep into stone. Those are all poems from the first section. There are 3 sections in the book, and this is the first poem of the second section, Air Hose. In the back of the body shop, beside the banging air compressor, past the 10-foot pig stove into which we rolled old railroad ties to burn overnight, my father is blowing himself clean again. It's how he closed the door every day on the day's work. He's on the other side now of the row of cars half finished and just begun, and he's tired, lifting the shiny thumb lever grip to his head, starting at the top where the compressed air like water from a garden hose rolls over his hair. And when he brings the bright nozzle to his chin and looks to the ceiling, his bangs fling up as though he's falling. He moves the hose side to side, quickly over his torso, pasting the shirt against his big, hard belly, then flagpoles his skinny legs to spend good, long seconds on his brown, paint-stained boots. I've grieved his leaving too many times. I'm not going to do it again. I am my own father was a lie I'd learned to announce as he stood in the back, the last one there, blowing off the poison dust every weeknight before he left the body shop for Bridges Bar, then came home. A couple short ones here, so this one's Obstinate Optimist. Like the sumac lifting its burning dark candles all winter. Like the bright crab apples' bloody stains in the perfect snow. Like that rigid old fuck the red oak, mid-winter, clutching its leaves in the wind. I don't let go. And this next poem in which, yeah, I contradict myself. Sea glass, in which the receding sea makes Black Beach a mirror, and I'm given another sky, where the green glass like a lozenge floats, rubbed rough and soft, and I feel, after a long month of worry, the sea, reminding the shard, your sand. I roll the glass clean between my hands, dip it into a tidal pool, and hold it up for the sun's simple refrain to fill. You can't stay sharp. I'm the light. So the less and less I hold each morning, I work to revise. And revision is the place I plan to spend my days. There's no such thing as done. All right, just a couple more. Now we're moving into the third section. Those two are from the second section. Youth soccer. Like if you could take the quick from quicksilver, so it was just a clump of slowly moving metal, these kids move from one side of the pitch to the other, kicking at shins so close they could hug. Leo has no idea what to do, but it's not his fault. This team's had more games than practices. Only the kids whose dads are out after work kicking around know what's going on. I'm no help. Skateboarder, fringe fucker, never played well with others, spent too much time staring at single things, waiting for my vision to blur. I take off my shoes and sink my bare feet into the cool, perfectly manicured grass. Spread out, my wife yells, mark up, as the kids stand together, as though holding hands, waiting for a throw-in, a blank-faced, disinterested wall. Leo, alone, behind them, stares at the passing clouds, raises his arms above his head and rises again and again on his toes like he's about to lift away. And someone behind me screams as another boy breaks off, windmilling across the pitch, bouncing as though chasing an invisible rabbit. No guts, no glory. But isn't it no guts, no gory? I can never remember. What I do remember, at their age, I would wipe my hand across fake wood paneling, and the grain, like swiping your hand through smoke, twisted and slithered as though alive. And just two more short ones. Good company. Walking through the snowy field. The day after, I walked through the snowy field. I stepped next to my first set of prints. So anyone who cares to can see. I was never alone. In the last poem, Eiley leads me into the woods. To a place across the street she wants to show me. to the hollow beneath the grove of squeaky willow, to a crick in the creek she's cleared of snow, to the spot she was standing when she first saw the deer melt on the hillside. Three bright green portals to sunnier days, where a mama, I try to explain, and two fawns must have spent the snowy night. But before I can finish, she grabs my hand and squeezes, and for most of my life, I've wanted language always to accompany me. But for right now, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Wow, I really enjoyed your reading. It's great stuff. Also, congratulations on the book. You know, you had your launch in October. Is your
Yeah.
launch is that always the best reading to do, the best appearance for any book?
It is a lot of fun, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I did it in my hometown, and the thing about living in one place for most of your life is a lot of people show up. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the short ones. Some folks say that it's actually harder to perfect and craft shorter poems than the longer ones. Agree or disagree?
Um, Harder. I don't know. You know, if I really knew how much time I spent on these poems, I might quit writing them. I try to I try to not pay attention to that, you know? I think like a short poem like one of the last ones I read, Good Company, that came to me rather quickly because I often walk my dogs out in this uh, during the winter. We live near one of the city golf courses. So there's always this beautiful white slate, you know, every time it snows. So that image came to me, and I was thinking of, you know, the idea of keeping yourself good company, more compassionate company, and that poem came relatively quickly. So it's hard to say. They're
Speaking
all
of
kind of,
I'm sorry.
no, that's
Speaking of
not.
poems, you were talking about you perfected the Plato's allegory poem.
Yeah.
Why was that one so difficult to craft?
Oh, I guess just trying to get the allegory in there. And what I was trying to do was a reverse allegory, you know, like going back into the cave and being happy with this ignorance of not knowing what's going on out there. Um, yeah, just working with this 2,400-year-old allegory and trying to get it into a, you know, a one-page poem is that was difficult. That took me many years to write, many iterations of that poem, and you know, probably 20 failures before I finally found the right poem that it fit in, I guess.
A question from Robert. It says your work uses simple language, not what I expect from an academic. So what does academic poetry look like now? I try not
Um,
to ask that question accusatorily.
Sounded it. Well, you know, I've been accused of being an academic poet by poets in Duluth. I don't know what that means, an academic poet. I mean, I teach creative writing, but I also teach freshman composition. I teach literature courses. I mean, I'm a professor for a paycheck, you know, like I don't consider myself. I mean, I feel like even in academia, I'm an outsider. You know, I'm the only MFA up there in the literary arts. I'm a teaching artist. You know, so I'm not sure what that means, an academic poet.
Did you get your MFA while you were in the Boston area?
Yeah, I went to Emerson.
Who did you who was your mentor there?
Bill Knott.
Oh, what a great poet.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, he was my thesis advisor, and he was a prickly character, and you probably heard a lot of stories. But in the end, he was really wonderful to me and blurbed my first chapbook. But he was extremely difficult to work with, and if it weren't for John Scoyles, who at the time was teaching there and director of the program, I would go into John's office after having met with Bill and just be like, "Dude, help me out." And John was honestly more important to my time there than any other prof or teacher, poet. Yeah.
When you were there, was that when you worked in the warehouse? And which warehouse in Austin did you work in?
What was the name of it? It was a lighting studio, Wolfer's Lighting.
Oh, it's still there.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would bike from my apartment down to Alston, and I worked in that warehouse for about a year and a half. I also served tables at Pizzeria Uno in Boylston. So Yeah, I was working the whole time I was a MFA student there. And
Do you
it was hard to make that rent every month, man. It was crazy rent in Boston. And because I knew nothing, I ended up in the Back Bay, which
did
is why
you
my rent was so crazy, you know?
do you recommend that as the pathway? Working at Uno's, getting your MFA, then ending up in Duluth, Minnesota.
I mean, I ended up in Duluth, Minnesota because I'm from here. I grew up on the river and the lake, so I missed it, you know. So I was so naive when I moved to Boston. I One of my first questions to a friend there was like, "So when are we going swimming in this river? Like, we're going swimming in the Charles, right?" And they're like, "Fuck no, dude, you don't swim in the Charles River." It's like, what? It's a body of water you can't just jump in. Because in northern Minnesota, you know, you jump in every body of water you see, you know. So I just missed it a lot. I spent a lot of time outdoors. We spent a lot of time in the woods. We camp, we snowboard, and all winter, and you know.
And you can jump in the Charles River, but you have to towel off at Mass General Hospital.
Yeah, right.
Now, this new book, it's the first one in a little bit. Now, how would you describe your work has changed between your last two books? And also, what
Um,
do you want your readers to notice about the changes in your work?
let's see. To Keep Him Hidden came out in 2018. Then I had a chapbook with Texas Review Press. That was in 2022, I think. Oh, 2021. Um, so how has it changed from my last full collection? I would say that what I didn't realize at the time until I was doing it, until I had, you know, 20 or 30 poems I pinned up on the wall and I was thinking about what I was doing, is I was trying to see how much tenderness a single poem can contain while still rising to the condition of art. You know, I wanted to write about my kids, but I knew that, you know, one of the dangers of writing about your children is it's so easy to slip into sentimentality or, so I was still trying to hold it to that high standard. So I'm hoping that they achieve that. Yeah.
Now, when you had you just talked about writing about your children, and
Yeah.
suddenly you're a father, your children in your world, did you find it impossible to not write about them?
Well, it was a confluence of things. I think it was that both I became a father and then the pandemic. So like I was at home and there were my kids. So they became my subjects for better or worse. You know, I think in the end though, I realized I've always been a kind of domestic poet. You know, like my first collection, To Keep Him Hidden, was mostly about my father. And you know, I had some difficulty as a child, and these poems were my way of trying to make it through that difficulty and thinking my way through or feeling my way through that part of my life. So I guess my attention has always kind of been on the household. So these
Now,
poems are much happier, I think.
but there's so much that happens in the world. I mean, we're talking about like the poet's world where like, things happen, parents die, difficult childhoods,
Yeah.
marriage, relationships, breakups. But so much is happening in the world now, shootings and, celebrities killing their parents. And like, how does poetry, and that just dominates the feeds and the news. How does poetry compete with that, and should it?
Um, I think back to what Frank O'Hara said in his essay Personism. Remember when he said there are only a few American poets writing better than the TV these days? It's Ashbery and one of his friends, you know. Um, so I don't know if we can compete with that kind of drama, but how I've always thought about poetry is things go by so quickly, and poetry's always been a way for me to hold on or slow down or just for a moment hear myself thinking, you know, or hear somebody else thinking, like a real human presence as opposed to flash, and, you know.
Now, when your work appeared on the Writer's Almanac, how soon before you listened to it on the radio?
That was a long time ago, man. That was in,
2008.
yeah, yeah. I remember being extremely excited, like I just published a chapbook, so it was from that chapbook. And I remember like hearing it on the day of, because I had friends texting me and somebody had been driving to work and she heard it in her car. So she was like, "Oh my God, you're on the radio." No, it was quite an honor. And to this day, every once in a while it still runs, like he'll run an old, he'll just do the rerun of that day. So yeah. To hear
That's
Garrison Keeler read one's work is an experience.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Now, also, your Distant Engines came out about 20 years ago, and
Yeah.
obviously your life has changed. But just talking about the world of publishing and the world of writing, what would you tell that young lad about the writing world?
Don't worry so much about that first book award. That's what I'd tell him. I mean, I languished for a decade trying to get this book out with a first book award because I thought, without that first book award, you won't have the marketing behind it, you won't have the prestige, you won't have and in the end, I didn't get a first book award. I had a number of finalists, and when I led a study abroad program in Ireland, and that's where I met Jesse Lendenny, who's absolutely delightful, by the way. Salmon Poetry is a fucking phenom. They're amazing, the work they do. Um, it's really hard as an American poet to have a publisher in Ireland. It's just, like shipping costs and trying to get books for readings and stuff can be difficult. Um, so when I was in Ireland, I met her and I said, "Look, I've been fishing this manuscript around for 10 years." And she read it. And within a couple of days, she said, "I'll take it. I love it." So I think I would tell that young poet not to worry so much about the awards because, in the end, as John Scoyle said, it just may be more manifestations of the void. You know,
I am in such envy of Ireland, how nearly everyone carries a book with them. They all carry books and read books. And like, I,
yeah.
I just feel like, it's side opinion, not a question. That we've started to dumb down so much. People don't even like read.
Oh, for real. The Irish are amazing, and they have, committed to memory number like Yeats. They have Seamus Heaney. You can just any Irishman, you could seriously be like, "Song of Wandering Angus," and he'd say, "I went out into the Hazelwood. The fire was in my head." It's like, yes, it's so awesome.
So what's
Uh,
next for you?
I don't. I mean, I'm working. I have 20 or 30 poems I'm messing with. I've been really interested in because this manuscript was so focused on the subject of, like new fatherhood and transitioning into being, like into this new role, basically. Um, I've been trying to get away from that kind of intense focus and seeing what I can do with just aphorisms. I've been really interested in where I know, the aphorisms you grow up with. Like we used to say things like, want in this hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up first. My grandma used to say that. And I'm really interested in where those lead me. I'm not really sure what yet, but I'm writing, so that's good.
That is good. I know a lot of professors, they get the job and they just become so busy they just stop writing. It's almost as if like there's a stop sign, we'll do it later, we'll handle it later. It's
Oh yeah,
really difficult. It's difficult being a professor. It's a lot of work.
it is a lot of work. But I mean, this is my 23rd year of being a professor, so I've always you have to find the balance. I mean, I knew a lot of poets. Like we were talking about Tom Lux before we came on. Tom Lux said he never wrote during the semester. He only wrote on breaks and in the summer. But you can get a lot of writing done that way. How about Diana Ewin? Do you know that book, Ghost of? And she's got a
Not
new one, Root Fractures. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's okay. Tell me
But
about root
she
fractures.
writes 1 month out of the year.
You can
That's
get a
it.
lot done in a month if you're writing. I mean, I write an hour a day, and like I have 70,000 words on a novel since September. So like it happens.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So I think with any job, that's is an excuse, right? Like you could always say, I'm too busy to write, or you just make time. Yeah.
I make time and I tell my boss this is what I do during my lunch break. Do not schedule any meetings for me between 1 and 2 every day. And
Yeah, man. Yeah.
they know what I do. They know what else I do besides my job. So that's awesome.
Yeah. That's great.
But I want to thank you so much for appearing. And here's the book, everybody, The Cave. Um, you can find it at ryanvine.com. You can also go to the press. You can order it through bookstores. You can get it at bookshop.org. Any of the good places. Amazon, of course. I mean, we just want to get books in your hands. So get Ryan Vine's book in your hands as soon as possible.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that.
And thanks again. And anyone that's watching on the stream, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to come on in for the open mic, I will let you in. So use the link.